Hello dear children. Today let us begin with another grammar lesson, that is adjectives and degrees of comparison. First let us know what do we mean by an adjective. Words that describe a noun or a person are termed as adjectives. Examples: he has 3 sisters. Here 3 is the adjective. Rohan is a good boy. Good is the adjective in this sentence. Because they are describing some noun. 3 is describing the noun sister and good is describing the noun Rohan. Adjectives are also called as describing words. We must use appropriate adjectives to describe appropriate people and things. Let us now know something about the position of adjectives. Adjectives are usually placed before nouns, but sometimes they may also be placed after the noun as well. For example, Ragini is a creative person. Here you can see that the adjective has been placed before the noun. So, here adjective is creative and person is the noun. The second example is the girl is creative. Here girl is the noun and creative is the adjective. From this sentence you can understand that the adjective has been placed after the noun. The next important thing is kinds of adjectives. There are 6 kinds of adjectives. They are quality, quantity, number, demonstrative, interrogative and possessive. The first type of adjective is adjectives of quality. An adjective of quality describes the quality of a person or a thing. For example, the bag is colorful. Here, the adjective of quality is colorful because it is describing the quality of the bag. The next example is of the lesson was interesting. Here, interesting is the adjective of quality because it is telling us how was the lesson. So the next type of adjective is adjective of quantity. An adjective of quantity specifies the quantity or amount of something. So, for example, give me some water. In this sentence, some is the adjective of quantity. Next example is there is enough sugar in the jar. Here, enough is the adjective of quantity because it tells us how much sugar is there in the jar. The next example is she added some honey to the milk. Here, some is the adjective of quantity because this shows how much honey has been added to the milk. The third type of adjective is of adjectives of number. As the name suggests, an adjective of number tells us how many persons or things are being meant in a sentence. For example, several people got into the train. In this example, several is the adjective of number because it tells us how many people got into the train. He has 1 box is the other example. In this example, 1 is the adjective of number because it tells us how many boxes does he has. The words several and 1 are adjectives of number as told earlier. Some other adjectives of numbers are words like first, second, third, which show in what order or thing or a person stands. They are also known as ordinal adjectives. Words like 1, 2 and 3 are called cardinals and are also used as adjectives. For example, there are 2 packets in the cupboard. Here, 2 is the adjective. I saw 3 boys in the park. Here, 3 is the adjective. Let us now discuss the use of these adjectives in detail. Use of much and many. We always use much to indicate quantity Many is used to indicate number. In other words, we can also use much with uncountable nouns, the nouns which cannot be counted. Many is used with the countable ones. For better understanding, let us have a look into the examples. There is much work yet to be completed. Here, much indicates the adjective of quantity and work is uncountable. The next example is, there are many ladies in the room. This is adjective of number. So, ladies, we can count them. So, we tell this as adjective of numbers. Use of few, little, a little. We use little to denote quantity, few to indicate number. To indicate almost none, we use little and a little means some. Similarly, a few means some. For example, he got little help from his friends. She got a little help from her friends. In both the sentences, you can see little has been used to denote the quantity of help that he got from his friends, whereas a little means some, a very small amount which help she had got from her friends. There are few people in the auditorium. There were a few people in the auditorium. These also mean the same as the above one. Differences between adjectives of quantity and adjective of number. Adjectives of quantity are used with uncountable nouns like milk, water and rice. We can say much milk, a little milk, sufficient milk to show quantity of milk, which is an uncountable noun. Whereas adjective of number is used with countable nouns such as books, glasses and so on. We can write many books, few books, several books. Some adjectives like some and sufficient can be used both for countable and uncountable nouns. The next type of adjective is demonstrative adjective. A demonstrative adjective is used to point some person or thing. In other words, a demonstrative adjective points out a noun. For example, these bikes are not parked properly. Here, these is the demonstrative adjective of the noun bike. It is pressurizing or it is pointing out on the bike. Such players always play for the team. In this example also, the demonstrative adjective is such. An important feature of demonstrative adjective is that it answers to the question which one. So, here from the above examples only if we take, we ask the question for the first example as which bikes were not parked properly? The answer would be the sentence which is these bikes are not parked properly. So, in this way, we can find the demonstrative adjectives in an easier manner. So, the next type of adjective is interrogative adjective. As the name suggests, these adjectives are used with nouns to ask questions. For example, what question did the teacher ask? Here, the interrogative adjective is what. Whose bat is that? In this sentence, the interrogative adjective is whose. Which book is yours? In this sentence, which is the interrogative adjective. The next one is possessive adjective. A possessive adjective shows possession or belonging or ownership over any substance or anything. For example, his pen is on my table. Here, the possessive adjective is his because there is a pen which belongs to him and that is on my table. The next example is its tires are big. Here we are referring only to one single automobile whose tires are big. Possessive adjectives. So for in the singular form of the first person, it is my, and for the plural form in the first person, it is our. For the second person in the singular form, it is your. And for the second person in the plural form, it is same, your. For the third person in the singular form, it is his, her, or its. For the third person in the plural form, it is their. This is how we can show possession over something and giving the possessive adjectives in the sentence to show the ownership or belonging over some object. Some other type of adjectives. Proper adjectives. These are adjectives which are mainly formed from proper nouns. I hope you remember proper nouns. The nouns which refer to a specific person, place, object or thing. For example, Asian, Christian, your name, your school name, etc. The next type of adjective is emphatic adjectives. These influence the effect of the noun that they are modifying. For example, absolute knowledge. Here, knowledge is the noun and absolute is the adjective. Utter lie. Here, lie is the noun and utter is the adjective. Participle adjectives. Sometimes participles, ing words used before the nouns, are used as adjectives. Let us understand this better with the help of a few examples. Example 1. Flying saucer. Here, saucer is the noun, whereas fly is made into flying by adding ing, which is the participle adjective in the sentence. The next one is running bus. Here, bus is the noun, whereas run is the adjective and it is made into the participle adjective by adding ing at the end of it. The next important topic is degrees of comparison. Adjectives change in the form when they show some sort of comparison and hence they are known as degrees of comparison. For example, Raju is tall. Aman is taller than Raju. In these two sentences, we are comparing Raju and Aman. We are telling first that Raju is tall, and again in the second sentence, we are exclaiming that Aman is taller than Raju. So these changed form, which is tall to taller, are called as degrees of comparison. So on the basis of comparison, degrees or adjectives can be classified as three: positive, comparative and superlative. Positive degree. An adjective is said to be in the positive degree when there is no comparison. Hence, there is no competition among which we can compare. For example, Roy is a strong boy. In this sentence, there is no comparison between Roy or anybody else. Comparative degree. An adjective is said to be in the comparative degree when it is used to compare two nouns or pronouns. For example, Roy is stronger than Ram. Here we are comparing Ram and Roy. Hence there are two nouns among which some comparison is going on. Hence the adjective is in the comparative degree, that is strong. Superlative degree. An adjective in the superlative degree is used where to compare more than two nouns or pronouns. For example, Raju is the strongest of the three boys. Here the three boys refer to Roy, Ram and Raju. Among all of these three, Raju is the strongest. So here strongest is the adjective which shows the comparison between Raju, Roy and Ram. In this way, strong in the positive degree, stronger in the comparative degree and strongest in the superlative degree. Let us now understand some features of the degrees of comparison. Positive degree is used when there is no comparison. The comparative degree is used when the comparison is between two nouns or pronouns. The superlative degree is used when the comparison is between more than two nouns or pronouns. An important thing to note here is we use the article the, which is a definite article before superlative degrees. Let us now understand the formation of comparative and superlative degrees of adjectives. Adjectives usually form their comparative and superlative degrees by adding er and est to the positive degree. Here is a table which gives a clear picture of examples as illustrated here. In the positive degree, clever is clever itself, whereas in the comparative degree, it changes to cleverer by adding er at the end of the adjective in the positive case, that is clever, and it turns into the superlative case or degree by adding est at the end of the positive degree adjective clever. The other few examples are also of the same kind. Rich changes to richer in the comparative degree by adding er at the end of the positive degree word rich, and it changes into the superlative degree by adding est to the positive degree word rich. Thick changes to thicker and then into thickest. Young changes to younger and then into youngest. By the addition of r and st to the positive degree ending in e is another way in which we can form comparative and superlative degrees of adjectives. For example, brave changes to braver in the comparative degree. We just add r at the end of the positive degree adjective because it is already ending with e. In the superlative degree, it is made by just adding st at the end of the positive adjective word. Other few examples are also of the same kind. Noble changes to nobler by just adding r in the comparative degree and changes into the superlative degree by adding st at the end of the positive degree adjective. Pale changes to paler and lastly into palest in the superlative form. Wise changes to wiser in the comparative form and then into wisest in the superlative form. Another such case is when the positive adjective ends in y and has a consonant before it, we change y to I and then add er or est to it. Easy in the positive degree changes into easier in the comparative degree by removing y from it and adding ier instead of it. And in the superlative degree, easy changes to easiest by removing y and adding iest instead of it. The same is for the other examples also. Happy changes to happier and lastly into happiest in the superlative case. Lazy changes to lazier in the comparative case and then into superlative case as laziest. Then it is wealthy. Wealthy changes to wealthier in the comparative case and finally into wealthiest in the superlative case. The next one is by addition of er and est to the positive degree when it ends in y. Let us understand this better with the help of an example. The first one is gay. It is in the positive case and changes into comparative by adding er along with the positive word and it changes into gayer, and then in the superlative case by adding est as gayest. The next example is grey. Grey changes to grayer in the comparative case and lastly into greyest in the superlative case. The next one is when the positive degree in a consonant with a vowel before it, we double the consonant and then add er and est. So the adjective is fat in the positive case and it changes into fatter in the comparative state by adding ter. Where does this t come from? This t comes from the adjective, that is fat. It ends with t. So we double that t. So it becomes fa double ter in the comparative degree. The same with the superlative degree. Fattest. It becomes fattest by adding the last consonant, that is T, and along with that we add EST. It becomes FATTEST, fattest in the superlative case. The other example is also of the same kind. Hot changes to hotter in the comparative case, and it changes to hottest in the superlative case. We can also make comparative and superlative forms by adding more or most before the positive form of the adjective. For example, beautiful changes to more beautiful in the comparative degree by adding more to the positive degree adjective. And it changes into superlative degree by adding most to the adjective in the positive form, that is, most beautiful. The other example is also of the same kind. Suitable changes to more suitable by adding more in the comparative degree, and it changes into most suitable in the superlative degree by adding most. Some adjectives do not allow any of the rules as explained earlier. They are compared irregularly. Here are the different forms of such adjectives. For example, far is in the positive case, and in the comparative case it changes into farther or further. This is entirely different from the positive case. It changes into superlative case as farthest, which possesses or which shows the distance, whereas furthest, it shows the position. Some other examples of such adjectives are good changes to better in the comparative case, and it changes to best in the superlative case. The next one is bad changes to worse in the comparative case, and it changes to worst in the superlative case. Another example is later changes to later or latter in the comparative case, and in the superlative case it changes into latest. Latest means it shows the time, whereas last, as you all know, it shows us the position. The next example is old changes to older in the comparative case and oldest into the superlative case. Uses of older, oldest, elder and eldest. We use elder and eldest only with persons but not with animals or things. These words are used with the members of the same family. For example, her elder sister is a singer. In this sentence, her and sister are human beings or persons. Hence, we use elder. The next example is her eldest sister has gone to Japan. Here also you can see that we are using eldest because we are having a comparison between the persons. If we use the other word than in a sentence, we use older and not elder. For example, Rohan is older than his sister. So whenever you are comparing something and you are using than in that sentence, then you must use older instead of elder. Older and oldest can be used both with persons or things depending upon the situation. For example, Soma is the oldest girl in our team. Here we are using oldest because it perfectly suits the sentence. That is the oldest monument in the city. Here, as it is told earlier, we are referring to a non-living thing and hence we will use oldest. Dear children, I hope you have understood this lesson. Thank you.